Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar, Spring into Social Media, presented by Kritzer. In today's webinar, Karen will share a brief overview of the different types of social media channels and the pros and cons of each, help you find the right media platform that will drive the results you want and get more eyes on your brand, and how to manage your content using the latest tools and techniques. Karen, take it away.
Thank you, Allison. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today to talk about social media and just a few strategies on how to navigate through the world of social media. When I was at CanGift this past winter, I noticed that a lot of business owners and people I was able to talk to at the Retail Resource Center, the common question always came up: where do I begin? It feels a little bit overwhelming. And as a small business owner myself, I felt, I felt the pain of that a little bit. It's overwhelming and it is hard to determine where to start. So hopefully these little tips and tools today will give you a little bit of a foundation for that. So again, just kind of the main overview is really determining how to get started with social media, integrating it into your business plan, and finding those methods that are right for you. I really like this quote. It states here that businesses need to live and breathe in the social media space in order to show that they exist in the online world. And it kind of just reminds us that this is the way we're going today, in the direction of our business and our marketing. And really there's this sense of, if you can't beat them, join them. And just sometimes diving in and experimenting with social media is kind of the best approach. And really, if you want to be known and get your brand out there, which again, there's nothing wrong with a little promotion and marketing, then you need to kind of jump in and explore this further. So I think it's important to look at where we're at today, look at some of the statistics, and it just kind of gives us a background as to why this, the whole phase of social media is kind of taken over, and where we can look to it going in the months and years ahead. I always enjoy these studies that come out from Deloitte. They recently released one, Navigating the Digital Divide. They have many great infographics and numbers, but they're very easy to digest. So this first one, it highlights, you can see Canada there in the dark blue, the digital and mobile's influence for Canada and the US. So when we look at this, I like the headings at the top: discovery, evaluation, payment, and fulfillment, just the different stages that a consumer can go through in their buying process, the path to purchase. So again, we're using our digital devices to look and discover our products. We're being influenced by what we're seeing on our feeds. And then, of course, when we go to evaluate and maybe compare products, all the way to how we're actually paying and using technology. And then, of course, if we're fulfilled with our product, how, did we react with that product? Did it meet our needs? What are the features and benefits? But I really like these numbers here that are on the rise, just showing that, again, staggering numbers show that these consumers are completing research, discovering products, and then using their devices to make sure that their purchases are ones that are worthwhile. Again, consumers will spend a little bit more money on our products as long as they're meeting our needs and they're the right fit for us. And again, we will use our phones right at the time of purchase. There's a lot of statistics that are showing that we will go to our mobile devices just to reinforce our decision actually in store. And these images, they just highlight the path to purchase and the advances in technology. So lots of mobile navigation apps showing us, where we are, what's close by. A lot of algorithms are tracking our every move if we allow them, those beacons. Right now we might pass the same store on our way to work, for our commute if we're walking, and we might have alerts that come to our phone just as we're passing that store. Again, when we're shopping, we have our phones out, we have digital lists, we get loyalty programs, so we have rewards. I know for myself, if we're buying a lot of avocados at our household, that's all being tracked. And then sure enough, I'll get an alert that will say avocados are on sale this week and what grocery store they're at and how many points I'm at. So again, that that convenience, I guess, of loyalty programs in digital. And then a lot of smart fitting rooms. So this one is a particular picture of the Ralph Lauren fitting room. They were kind of leading the way in these digital advances. But these smart fitting rooms are interesting because they allow the shopper to be in control of the mood in the fitting room. But you can see here, they're tracking the items that are going in and out of the change rooms, and you can be sure that those items are being held on a list and possibly emailed to the consumer to curate more of their shopping list to complement their purchases or to remind them of all of those items that they did not buy at that time in store. And again, lots of kind of heat mapping and tracking different beacons in store to track consumers' paths and how they're shopping, what is their dwell time, what fixtures are they stopping at. And again, I think we'll start to see more and more of this in the next couple of years. And again, on the flip side of that, also helping customers to navigate through stores. So if you allow these beacons, they can actually help you save time and locate things, get more information in store as well. And then, of course, reviews are passed to purchase online. We also, especially if it's a more costly purchase, such as a washer and dryer or dishwasher, we will go to those reviews online. We will be influenced by what other people are telling us. We look for those 5-star ratings, not just for restaurants anymore, for everything that we're purchasing. And then, of course, our online shopping. Have we gone into the store and then are we making a buying decision later on, or are we simply buying from the comfort of our home? So again, I think it's important to look at all these technologies and, again, how social media is kind of intertwined with them as well. And again, just another little picture here looking at the various medias that we use. It's interesting here for me personally just to see how the desktop and the laptop are still the main sources for looking at products online. I think perhaps when people are on their lunch breaks at work, they may be scrolling the internet for their shopping needs. And then, of course, smartphones as well. So we have access to mounds and mounds of data, so it's no surprise that we are making more informed purchase decisions. Of course, we have these right at our fingertips, and we're researching products, features, and benefits in multiple ways. And this just highlights as well, I thought it was interesting and very promising to show, of course, the numbers are on the rise in terms of maybe buying online, using our phone or a laptop, and then we're picking them up in store. So again, we're making that trip to the store, whether it's to save money on shipping or perhaps just make sure something fits so we don't have to make double trips, so we can return right there or exchange. We're also buying online, so we know now that with increased delivery time, we can expect things on our doorstep within 24 hours. And of course, we're going to be experimenting with buying online and then getting it delivered right to our door. But very promising, of course, is the items that are bought in store and taken home from the store that day. So we see that that's kind of the current way that people are shopping, still on the rise, and the percentages are up, as well as the preferred receipt method. So sometimes we don't always do that, but people are showing that they do like to go into those stores and touch and feel and see the product in person. And then kind of lastly here, just looking at the different forms of digital and social media and how it varies across product categories, again, from Deloitte's survey. All of these top influential factors reinforce the effectiveness of social media, and specifically for each genre. So you can see here with apparel, whether we're being influenced online, with mobile influences and social media, it's impacting our purchase. I was a little surprised here with food and beverage. I think that we are seeing a lot of photos online influencing what we're buying. But again, you can see here how almost every genre down the left is affected in some way, shape, or form with social media. So who exactly is online? I think it's important to also look at those statistics and to know our audience. And some of these numbers are very staggering. It's kind of funny when you take a step back and just look at the numbers and percentages. According to the data compiled over 2 years, nearly half of the world's population are projected to own a smartphone by 2020. So currently 25.5 million people in Canada use smartphones, which is about 70% of the population. So if we look ahead to 2020, that will increase to about 81.3% to be exact. So we know, again, this information that we have access to is with us constantly, and we have access to that, and it's, of course, the statistics are showing that it's on the rise. And two kind of buzzwords in the industry that have been very popular are, of course, digital immigrants versus digital natives. So it's always, again, interesting to see what your target group, what category they fall into. And it's also very important to note how they respond to technology. How do they feel about it being in their lives? So, of course, for digital immigrants, those would be anyone born prior to about 1980. And this demographic, they tend to question technology. So again, they haven't had a lot of experience. They didn't really grow up online. They are starting to integrate technology into their life, but they're questioning. They're questioning security surrounding it, the information of data, how to use it, and sometimes they can be intimidated by technology. So this age group, again, this demographic, just not a lot of experience with it, so they can be a little bit skeptical. So if that is your main target audience, it can be hard to get those people on board until they learn to just work with social media and technology. And then in contrast, we have the digital natives, and in general, that's anyone under the age of 35. So this group has the ability to process information very quickly, and they communicate quickly. So when they see a post or they see some information, it resonates with them, they act on it, and it's that whole kind of catchphrase, fear of missing out, or FOMO. They'll just act on it. It becomes kind of second nature. It's very natural. And for them, technology is often viewed as almost a seamless part of their life, almost like an extension of their body. So they've kind of always been plugged in, and they just automatically are the ones that quickly go check Google, and they'll get to the heart of an issue and try and find products that they're looking for right away. And then a lot of adults today we're seeing, of course, they have one account, but they also have multiple accounts across numerous platforms. And I think a lot of us can agree to this as well. Sometimes it gets a little confusing as well. We have maybe email for business, email for personal, and then added to all of that are social media accounts. So we might have Instagram, LinkedIn, you can see here Facebook, YouTube. We're not ruling out Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, and then other forms of information like Reddit and Tumblr. So again, those are pretty high numbers for Canada, but you can see how your target audience is plugged in some way, shape, or form into multiple channels. So again, why as a business or retailer should we invest in social media and with our brand? So just a few kind of positives and things that social media can bring to the table. Of course, it reinforces the brand. So you're in control of this, which is nice. You're able to have a tone of voice that speaks to the brand and to kind of tell the story of your brand. It also provides quick access and links to more information. So it's kind of all under one roof. When you have your account, you can actually link multiple other pages of information or other links and provide more information to the consumer. So again, we know that they're doing their research. They want to be armed with all of that data. Social media is also the bridge between the product and the brand. So it's uniting the two. And of course, it can drive traffic and increase sales when done properly. It adds excitement, whether it's through events or through promotions. This can be a very effective tool. And of course, it also creates a community, so it can bring people together, really just with the thought of and then the values of your brand. So just looking at Instagram, for example, I have just a screenshot here of a word that I've searched before. So we kind of hear this term now, where is the best place online to hang out? And when we say hang out, we mean what kind of areas or groups are you looking at? And this can actually start to bring a community together. And I'll admit I was a little bit skeptical about this. When I was first starting out, I thought, you know what, a hashtag is free, it's very simple to use, but will it bring me results? And actually, I've had many different kind of encounters where I've searched a hashtag that's related to my brand or my interest. So for example, here you see on the left merchandising, and then all of the different tags come up under the tags tab, visual merchandising, and so on. And then by following those tags as well as integrating them into my posts, I've been able to connect with other like-minded people. So that's what we mean when we use the term hanging out. So maybe in your town or city, there are certain hashtags that are being used, or your target customers, when you look at their posts, they're using the same hashtags. It's just adapting some of these. And, you know, as I mentioned before, you really can create a community. And I've actually met some really interesting people. You know, obviously there's a caution there. You have to be careful because, again, this is online, but in my experience, it's really brought a community of professionals together, and I've actually met some people, and it's created very meaningful networking relationships and mentoring opportunities. So I really think it's important to investigate kind of that power of a hashtag and simply search what is of interest to you in the brand and then kind of watch it take off. And of course, now more than ever, we're interacting with our audiences. So comments and connections happen with other like-minded people. We can now ask for feedback. So if we're open to it, we can get direct feedback and instant feedback about our products or something that we're doing. And of course, now polls and votes are popular. So for this example, you know, what donut will they be creating for the day, plain or sprinkles? And it just makes your consumers feel that they're part of the brand. Also adds a little bit of excitement and engagement, and then you can also track some results from that and gain very important data. And again, this gives us an accurate scope of our target demographics. So by looking at our comments and tracking the engagement online, we can be more specific. And again, that can even help us specifically when we're buying. It can align us with our merchandise assortment. So if you're by chance shopping for a line of coats, maybe some rain jackets for April and May, and you really think you want to buy the red ones, but you know the black and the tan color are always very common and great sellers, you can do a little poll online while you're doing your buying and take to the streets, ask the people, and again, those numbers speak volumes. Also, this paves the way for customization. So customization is something that's important to us as shoppers. We don't want that cookie cutter feeling. We want something that's a little bit different. And many examples out there on the market today are just allowing the customer to have a little twist on their product. And again, through social media, we can determine what they're craving. And this is just a picture of Timberland. They're known for their classic kind of work boot, but now they have these customization labs where their boots can be transformed and have different designs added to them, as an example. So some key talking points on social media, again, just for looking at our tone of voice. It can be hard to kind of know where to start and talk about our brand. It can be a little bit difficult. So I always say go back to your business plan, look at your values and your goals. The big word out there now is transparency, especially with millennials. They are demanding that a brand is doing something good for the world around them. So whether it's sustainability or giving back to a charity, just basically looking at their goals and their values. It's kind of hand in hand with being on social media. You just have to be open to showing more about what your business does. So there are some topics there. I think these are great takeaways. Topics that demonstrate a brand's transparency. You can talk about, hey, you know what, we sold out of this product, we'll admit our mistakes. Just that nice tone of voice about being honest. Looking at products and services, pricing, marketing practices, and then anything kind of from the back end as well, looking at how the business is run. People are very interested in kind of that story behind your brand. Who are the people behind it? What do you stand for? And it obviously just adds that personal touch as well. And I find it's very effective, especially in a smaller community. And then some topics that customers want, that these consumers are wanting from brands, is, again, just to look at any changes that there might be, price adjustments, policies with the company, and really just, again, anything related to the well-being of their employees or the community. So I think those are some key points if you are thinking that you are a little bit stuck for topics. And also some other highlights and topics that have been proven to show interest, spark interest from your audience. Just being responsive. So when people are commenting, that means that you're open to commenting back. Promotions and events. And a lot of people, well over 42%, are looking just for educational content, so sometimes learning even more about a product and features and benefits. How can it contribute to maybe saving them time or money? I really like the one about being funny. I think that's a good point. It's to find your tone of voice and, maybe not always be so serious, but show kind of a fun and playful side of a brand and just, again, being honest. Things happen, or just kind of a day in the life of what's going on of you running the business. And of course, some other key points there as well. So where to begin? We see all of these logos. There are so many choices. And again, as a small business owner, I find that it can be overwhelming. Where do you start looking at these different options that are out on the market today? So just a few key facts about each of these channels. Facebook, they've always kind of been in the news lately, just concerning the privacy issues that they had. And yesterday, actually, at the F8 conference, so that's the Facebook Developer Conference that takes place in California, Mark Zuckerberg, of course, was there, and he was having a big discussion when he presented, and he was reassuring the audience that in the next little while, Facebook will focus on data storage, all of those issues surrounding privacy and safety and encryption. And they're actually looking at a little bit of rebranding. They want to update their logo. They're moving into a circle logo. And apparently they're going to take away more of the blue color that surrounds their brand and all of the dashboards. They want your content to be more of the focus. So we can expect to see that in the months ahead from Facebook. It has some great features when you're on Facebook. If you've been working with it already, you probably know this, the ability to go live. So again, you can stream some video. This is always popular at a concert. I find everyone streaming the concert live and not really enjoying the event, but it's great documentation. You can set up Facebook events, so they are perfect for in-store promotions. They almost act as an Evite. And then, of course, you can track expected attendance and interest. Facebook partners with Messenger, so that allows you to be able to start conversations with your customers. Again, just another way to communicate with them. And of course, Facebook allows you to create business pages, which then further allow you to have access to tracking more analytics. Twitter, it hasn't been as popular the last few years, but it still has an extremely large user base. Again, the hashtag theory works well. It can attract other users. Twitter is a platform kind of for that instant feedback and engagement, and it's a great media for listening. So we always hear that phrase, people are just going to go and take to Twitter. So especially if they kind of have a little beef about a company or they have a little bit of a rant, I find that Twitter can be kind of that sounding board, that dashboard for expressing their feelings about a product. So again, I think it's just using this wisely in terms of communicating with the customer. But again, if you're using it from your side of a business, you can kind of control the topics that you're presenting. And of course, Snapchat, it's a targeted more to a younger generation. The target demographic, though, is women with this, specifically under 24, so it would be a wise avenue to discover if you're looking to attract that group specifically. The numbers are pretty staggering in terms of how much time they're spending on this app, and it's an average of 30 minutes. Snapchat allows, of course, for message and videos. So this might be a unique avenue to explore even once a week, just doing a quick little video, especially if you're having an event or some new products. They say that the usage of Snapchat will also continue to rise. So again, it can be a little bit intimidating not knowing about this media, but at the same time, I think it's one just to, again, dive right in and embrace. Pinterest is interesting as well, and it has a very large user base. We often overlook this one. And it has a strong female follower base, and there has been a rise in males using it as well. So what I like about Pinterest personally is that, again, you are able to control what you're posting, what you're keeping track of, and you're kind of curating your own ideas. But what's really staggering is that 98% of the users have said that they've acted on pins that they have saved. So they're going back to them and actually making purchases or revisiting them, and that's influencing them. And of course, Instagram, it's really gained in popularity. It's now known as the central hub for brands. And I think that's, contributing factor, of course, is just those visual pictures that we see when we're scrolling. The view on the smartphone is great. So it's just meant for your smartphone. It's the perfect partnership. It's easy for people, especially when you're on the go, to have a quick glance at something, research online, and how many times do we take a quick screenshot, or we save a post, or we send it to someone else. And again, the hashtags are simple ways to build that audience and relatively easy once you get going with them. So another feature that a lot of people are already familiar with on Instagram is to look at those little lines when you go to your account. There are some lines at the top, about 3 or 4 little lines in the top right-hand corner. When you click on those, you automatically see this kind of menu, and you see your insights and activity. So that's really great to analyze at a quick glance. Your followers, you can see specifically where they're coming from, what city, what country. You can look at the time of day that is kind of your peak time for your post. You can look at the demographics, men, women, and the age group. And it's just really interesting to kind of look at that. And then, as we'll see further down in our slides today, how that can be integrated into your planning process. So again, it takes the guesswork out of everything. It's very easy at a quick glance, and it's interesting to kind of check in with that and see how your posts are doing and what the engagement is. So most of these medias, there's a link here, specifically with Instagram as well. They have a great kind of how-to guide. So if you're stuck with any of these medias, of course, they are all technology gurus or great startups. They have how-tos, and you can look at how to create your business account. And it's, again, step-by-step, shows you how to look at all those analytics, set these up. They have great blogs and inspiration. So if you're looking to dive in further, then of course Instagram is just one example, but they have a really great guide here that's very user-friendly, and some success stories as well. So again, most of these have tools that you can dive in on your own time and kind of go step by step. And again, for me, I think it's just practice with these medias and navigating around to find what the best fit is for your business. And again, finding that best channel for your business, the right media that gets you results and has those eyes on your brand. A few kind of just quick statistics about each one that kind of state the case for why it's important to use them. Facebook, of course, users are said to have on average at least 155 friends. So really, for me, this is a logical choice because, again, you're connecting with someone and automatically you kind of have access to their inner circle. So this is how word kind of spreads, and you get connected, and it reminds us that the world is not so big, but we are all connected. And that average to me personally was a little bit higher than I thought. So it makes it kind of just a natural choice to start. And now how we can integrate our Instagram, we can link our Instagram accounts to Facebook. It can also save us a step. So Twitter, as I mentioned, it can be a place where there are discussions and people can take to Twitter to voice their opinions. But I know myself, I use Twitter. I go to it for breaking news and updates if something's happening. It's a very kind of rapid platform to use. But I think with that being said, since we know that people go to it for updates and breaking news, especially if there's something happening in the community or for an event, then it should be our #1 choice. So again, we are not really creating new information. We're just taking something maybe from our Instagram post and reposting it or putting it out on Twitter as well. And Snapchat, the unique feature about them is that they have that feeling of that little bit of video that lasts only for 24 hours. So it has that in-the-know feeling. It feels a little bit prestigious that you know what's going on and you caught that little snap, you caught that little piece of information, and then it's gone. And so it's important when we're using this to think of always something new and fresh, and that we play into that idea, that it's just this little snapshot of something. It's almost this secret information. If you caught it, then you get wind of it. And that kind of adds to the excitement and the appeal. And again, with Pinterest, I really like this kind of phrase. I think it's a great capture of what this media does. It's from the Hootsuite blog, and it says, Pinterest is a search engine where you find the things you need to buy in order to become that ideal self. So when we're on Pinterest, whether we're scrolling for outfit ideas or inspiration for a table setting or maybe a menu, again, it's very curated to what we want it to be. We're making it our own. And what I like about Pinterest is it's actually very positive. We don't really have this platform where people are commenting. There isn't this kind of gray area where it can get a little bit controversial. It's just a great place to go, relax, and yes, maybe waste about 25 minutes because time flies when you're on it. But again, pure enjoyment, positive place to go to, and really people are looking at Pinterest for their inspiration, their research, and discovery. So it could be something to consider as a business just in terms of posting some great product grouping, some beautiful photos at a high quality level, and just check out and see if people are interested in using this form of media to discover your products. And again, another kind of positive with Instagram is that the audience is more engaged than all of the other channels. So we have this feeling, again, of creating communities, like-minded people. People end up connecting and chatting, commenting. It's very user-friendly, and it is pretty simple to use, and just the dashboard of it, it's very easy to navigate. And again, I think it will be especially interesting for us here in Canada, coming from those F8 meetings yesterday in California once again. They've said that Canada will be the test country for later in the week, as early as into next week. They're going to start hiding the total number of likes. So on photos and videos, we won't really see that number visible, that count of all of the likes of that heart. So what's interesting is you'll be able to see your own post, apparently. You can track the likes, but when someone else, your followers, are viewing it, they won't be influenced by those likes. So it actually gives us a more true picture of the photo or the product or the engagement factor. So again, if something has maybe 500 likes, we're not being influenced by that. We just like what we like, and we're, maybe commenting or hitting that button. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that works from both sides. And apparently they're also adding shoppable tags for influencer looks. So apparently these influencers will not make any money off of this, but they'll be adding in the ability to shop. So not just from a brand, but as someone that's promoting a brand. So that's great if you're someone that's investing in an influencer or sending them product to use. There'll also be apparently an away mode where you can take a break from social media, especially if you're having a little bit of a rough time. And we see this more and more. People maybe just want to disconnect for a little while, but then you can pick up right where you left off, which is a good feature. And apparently there will be the ability to do fundraising as well. So brands do this a little bit now, but there apparently will be the ability to click and contribute to fundraising. And of course, again, we know the millennials especially are interested in crowdfunding, sustainability, social responsibility. They're looking to become involved. So this will just be another platform to do that. So again, I think it'll be interesting to watch Instagram. They always seem to be changing on a dime and looking to make it more and more efficient. And again, I think it's just important to look at that aspect again of keeping it positive on social media. If you can make customers unhappy in the physical world, they might tell 6 friends. But if you make them unhappy on the internet, they'll tell 6,000 friends. And that was right from the Amazon creator, Jeff Bezos. Again, news travels fast. We don't always praise people when we find a great product or have a great experience in a store. So I think that's why we need to encourage our customers to do so. You know, post a picture with a great look of the outfit you just bought, or repost when they're happy about something. Because again, there is that little bit of danger. We do have to talk about the negative, that of course there will be unhappy customers. We can't always make everyone happy. But again, it's just kind of flipping that platform so that we're in control. And of course, managing the content. There are a lot of tools and techniques out there in the market, and I'm sure many of you have been attempting to use some of them. You might have your favorites, but the biggest struggle is that people are faced with all of the time and effort that it actually takes to curate content, and it's very important to streamline how it's managed. So it can be a beast. There are a lot of kind of moving parts to managing your content. And I also, as some of you know that I've met, I teach as well at a local college, and I think it's also important to look to the experts. If there is someone in your community that is really great at social media and marketing, especially students, I mean, they're the ones who are the digital natives. If you have that trust in them and they learn about your brand, then it can make life a lot easier. But some of the planning tools out there suggest that they recommend as a starting point that you're posting 1 to 3 times a day on your channels. But with that being said, it needs to be relative to the brand and relevant. And I think we all know those brands that maybe they've done a post, it's been really great, and then we don't hear from them for 8 or 10 weeks. And you kind of feel like, are they invested in the business? Are they not? When are they open? What are the hours for the store? I can't really get a read on this. Who's running the business? So again, it's to, when you decide to jump into social media, to be consistent. And I would argue that even 3 times a day is a little bit high. It would be a nice goal to start with even 1 post a day. Because again, we have those followers that we watch, and they're posting everything. They're posting what they're eating for all of their meals. They're posting every outfit, and it's too much. So it's finding that balance. And the popularity of stories, so this, has come into play, I'd say, the last couple of years. It's gained popularity, just the ability to have a little quick story and to be kind of live with that. With Instagram, the stories, again, much like Snapchat, only last about 24 hours. So posting 1 or 2 a day can create a buzz. But I would say, again, save these for special events or something that's interesting, or a quick little snapshot of behind the scenes of the business. Again, if you start overusing these, then it can just become filtered out. We just scroll through the stories and it all kind of blends together. But if you're posting the odd time a more detailed story, then we get that engagement. But you can see here the stories and the product daily active users. So Facebook and Instagram, obviously some high numbers, and then WhatsApp, even on the status bar. People just love that little check-in and show what they're doing, or where they are, or what they're eating, or what they've bought. And again, that's really great for your business. You can have kind of that inside view from the customer's eyes. But I thought in contrast to that, it was a really neat factor to look at this. With the popularity of videos, we know that when we scroll through, a video will always get our attention. But it's important to note that most users watch these with the sound off. And I think that's very true. We might be at the office on our lunch break, but we're just scrolling through and we don't maybe have our headphones, so we shut the sound off. Or we're maybe commuting, and again, we don't have our headphones, so we shut the sound off. But that's a staggering number. The report stated that over 85% of Facebook users viewed video with the sound off. So it's really important to note that you're kind of wasting your time if you do this long spiel about product when you're talking about your product with video, because again, someone might not be listening. So that we're getting that audience by viewing the video, it's catching attention, but again, we can keep our actual sound or what we're saying to a minimum, because we know from this channel alone, many people are not hitting that volume button. So again, you want to use your time effectively. I thought that was a great statistic to know, because it's very true, and I know I do it. I shut that sound off to scroll. And I think one key takeaway, one thing to star here or highlight, is the consistent posts show commitment to the brand. So again, if you dive in and make your calendars and you set up a planning module. It's just about being consistent and showing that you're there and that you're alive in that online world. So I'll just highlight a couple planning tools. So all of these are just different sites you can go to, and again, they're very user-friendly. Some have payment plans, some have a free test and trial mode. And I know some of my students have gone out in the field and they've worked with brands, and a lot of them have come back and said that Planoly has been really great to use. So again, this is just a little dashboard, a screenshot of what something like Planoly can do. It will save you so much time. You can literally be sitting on the beach on a nice family vacation, enjoying your time off, and your business is running itself in terms of your social posts. So you can see here all of the posts are on the left, and then on the right is the calendar. All the gold dots just highlight the post based on content, and then you can further look into the analytics of that. And then each kind of post can be further broken down. You can look at weeks, months, or the year, and then of course your overview of the posts that are doing well, or the engagement, and the certain time. So again, you would look at your analytics through the media channel that you're using, and then you would be able to match your posts again. So we can see here just from this business, Wednesdays aren't a great day. People aren't really online or looking at their product based on the analytics that they've looked at, and so they know what days of the week and what times are kind of their hot time and what times to post. And again, Hootsuite, very popular in terms of their developments in technology and user-friendly. Again, tracking impressions, likes, and shares, looking at each post. What are people saying? How many likes? How many eyes? And then again, with that calendar idea, spreading out your messages and what are the best times to post. And there are plenty more out in the market. And then for me, because I'm very visual, this is really important to me. And a common question is, how should my page look? So specifically this is to Instagram, but there are kind of two rules or two approaches. There's that famous rule of thirds, which is 1/3 promotion of the business and attempting to gain new leads. So again, just talking about your business, your goals, people behind the business, and again, trying to attract new customers. The next third is just looking at other sources that complement or align with the brand. So for example, if you're selling dinnerware, pots and pans and everything for the kitchen, then perhaps you would have recipes or chefs in the area. So something, again, in that genre that relates to your brand. And the other third is engagement. So posts from followers and comments, reposting, and polls. So again, you're kind of connecting all of the dots. You're talking about your business, you're linking up with like-minded people and people in the community, and then again, you're trying to get your little community to react and to be engaged. And then lastly, another strategy could be the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your posts could be helpful or interesting. So again, features and benefits of a product. Sometimes when it's National Donut Day or when it's the Super Bowl or Coachella, we kind of piggyback on these ideas and themes. So it's just interesting. It gets people talking, especially if it relates to your product. But then 20% of your posts are actually selling a product. So again, just promoting percentage off or limited quantity and trying to get people into your store. So this is an example from emerging stylist, Cynthia. She's new in the industry, and she so kindly let me capture her Instagram feed. And I think it just nicely highlights the aesthetic. And they don't always have to be like this. Some can be very random, and it's just posts based on the 80-20 rule or the 1/3. But this, if you're looking for kind of this aesthetic, you can see here in the overall picture, there's this idea of working in 3, 6, 9, or 12. So in the cube, having a visually appealing page while people scroll through, it can help gain traction. So it kind of allows the eye to rest. It takes the noise out of what else is going on. If there's a lot of color, then it's black and white or not consistent. Being consistent, again, just helps people to sort out what you're trying to show them. So you can see here this band, it has these pastel colors. They're all related to a theme. Then we've got this orange feeling or black and white. And again, it's just a nice strategy if you wanted to try this technique to organize images and thoughts. And again, it could be, those 3 posts every day, or it could be 1 a week. But it's just a place to start and look at the aesthetic and does it match your brand. And then it's also important to note there's been this real push and demand, again, kind of stemming from the millennials and being authentic with these natural photos. So although it's important to have a real high-quality photo on Instagram, again, with beautiful lighting and to show a product or a person, there's also been this big surge and almost like a trend of Instagram versus reality. So we saw celebrities do it, a day without makeup. So just this filter-free, unstaged photo, they were making a spike in popularity, and experts in the market today say that we'll see this continue as a trend, just being authentic and still having good high-quality photos, but they don't have to be so staged. They can be a little bit raw or natural. So I like to conduct kind of a case study to showcase and illustrate some points, and I think it's interesting to look at social media, especially when it comes to our products and getting people into our store, of this approach that I take. And I use Chapters Indigo as an example because they always do this so seamlessly. So I like to think of those freestanding inserts, those FSIs, those actual flyers that are still coming to our doorsteps the odd time that are in the actual newspaper. So when a potential customer, when you receive that flyer, you look at the images, and then ultimately you want to go seek out that product in store. So we should have that same approach when we're trying to look at our social media. So in other words, the experience of the brand that we see kind of online should come true in reality because we've set this expectation. So case in point, I logged on to Chapters Indigo, and on their website they had this beautiful kind of band or advertisement deal of the week. It had these bright items for entertaining. So I just thought, you know what, I'll look at that dinner plate, I'll go into one of the stores and let's see if I can find it. So of course, once in store, offline, I walked into the store and the dinnerware was featured right there on a strategic location. It was very visible from the main aisle. So again, I saw something online, I went into their store, and as a customer, they kind of met my expectation. It was there and there were lots in stock and it was presented wisely. So again, on Chapters now, I went on Instagram. Mother's Day is coming, so I'm looking to be inspired for gifts. And I saw this beautiful notebook. It's a lovely photo, very seasonal. The picture was very simple and graphic. And I thought, okay, I'll go into a different location. Let me go offline and see if I can find it. And sure enough, there was the notebook. It was featured online. And then it was placed in a strategic location that was clearly visible from the main aisle. So again, it didn't take me a lot of time to hunt around and find it. I had the picture on my phone. I went into the store. I didn't really need to talk to anyone. I already know about the features and benefits and price point. I could just zip in and purchase. So I did it again. I thought, let's try and see if Chapters lives up to this. So I went on again and I looked at this beautiful handbag with this scarf. Again, another great Mother's Day gift suggestion. It's seasonal, it's on trend, it's simple and graphic, very appealing picture, very memorable. And then when I ventured into the store, there was the purse. It was located in a high traffic area, and there it was hanging. There were also alternatives. So say the gray one had been sold out. Very easy from a merchandising point of view to pick up another similar item. Again, I don't really need to talk to anyone. I wouldn't need help. I could just help myself. And then again, the scarf was there as the natural add-on, and of course, other beautiful things that were going to jump in my shopping cart. And then again, another online picture, these home and garden accessories, very seasonal, very graphic, a little bit different, these gardening tools. So again, when I went into the store, there they were, the whole collection off a main aisle, beautifully merchandised. Everything was clean and priced in full. And what Chapters does, and this was also highlighted in the other photos if you noticed, they do this great job of bringing that Instagram picture to life. It's the exact image from their social media post. So we might not have this in our budget to do it all the time, but it's just a really great way, almost subliminally, to bring that connection. So I could see that graphic right there. There's the product, those gardening tools. They were stocked nicely on the shelf, and there they were ready for takeaway. So again, it's just showing how seamless that is. My expectation was met and they checked all the boxes. And I asked Sarah and Tasha if I could use them as an example. I was able to meet them at the Winter Gift Show in Toronto, and I really enjoyed our chat. They actually have some great content online that I wanted to share of kind of, I mean, they're not a small-scale retailer. They're doing great things. And, of course, with home hardware being a brand that we know, but they've taken their brand and they're embracing social media, and to the point where they actually went to the Facebook office. So they have a lot of great content that they share, but this is just a dashboard of their Instagram feed. They have stories that are of interest. They're completed at a high level. They have information and links, so it's very easy for me to read about their brand and then click to a website. This band here where they organize the highlights, it's very on point in terms of different trends, but I can navigate it easily. And then, of course, their photos, they're very consistent. They're bright. They have messages that align with the home hardware brand, but then within their own store. And they're just strong messages that catch your eye when you're scrolling through. And kind of the 4 Ps are something that I know they obviously work with, but it's something that I think is easy to remember, and that's, of course, products. So what are people doing for the time of year? What are they interested in? What do people need? And it's, again, having a pulse on that based on what they're commenting on, what the audience is asking for online. And then, of course, promotions. So being ahead of the game in terms of creating interest surrounding sales or upcoming events at a store. And then, of course, people, letting your audience know about the people behind the brand and the community and the brand ambassadors, your sales associates. I think that's really important. And then, of course, parties. So not necessarily big events, but anything to, again, of course, increase traffic and increase dwell time. So different talks or networking events or partnerships with another brand. And I think if you look at those 4 Ps, that I'm pretty sure they would say that contributed to their success online. But it's a very easy formula to kind of look at if you need to organize your posts. And I think it's important just to look at insights and measure results when you're looking at social media. So as you jump in and try and apply some of these strategies, look at what's working for you and take the time to sit down and look at your analytics. Likes are important, but as we can see with this new strategy on Instagram, they're not everything. So don't be so concerned about that. If a picture does not, or a post doesn't get the coverage that you want, then they're not always going to be effective, and that's okay. But look at the saves and the shares, and of course, look at the comments. What are people saying? It's also nice to look at changes in the number of followers. Again, so not get too stuck on this, but there will be ups and downs. People follow and unfollow all of the time. And for you as a brand, if you're following other people back, it's kind of creating that community and that relationship. So that's interesting as well. And then, of course, your engagement and impressions. So just looking at those views of the post. So combined with your analytics, you can't go wrong with that data. And Mark Zuckerberg, of course, from Facebook, he had this great quote. He said, "People influence people. Nothing influences people more than a recommendation from a trusted friend. A trusted referral influences people more than the best broadcast message. A trusted referral is the holy grail of advertising." And I think that's so true. We just kind of are inundated with all of these messages every day. And when we hear a recommendation from a friend that they tried something or they went to a certain restaurant or had a certain type of smoothie or bought a certain type of shoe, that goes a long way. They are, in fact, a brand ambassador. They're influencing our purchase decision. And I think that's just a great reminder and to look at how we're using social media to fulfill that. So again, just a few little takeaways from our time today. Focus on these simple little tips as a way to keep check. So determine the best channel for your business. Take the time to sit down and make a plan. It's very busy running a business and all of the other commitments that you have as an entrepreneur, but it's really important to make a plan. Keep it visual, so remember about those photos, high-quality photos, but also some unstaged photos, and look at the aesthetic of your brand on your posts. Focus on a specific target group. Remember that it's a waste of time to kind of reach everybody. Look at your demographics in that targeted zone and then try and expand your reach. And especially that comes into play if you're selling online as well. So if you just have your brick-and-mortar store and you have no intention of doing online selling, then of course your reach doesn't necessarily need to be as far. And then interaction and engagement, encouraging people to comment, kind of controlling that, asking them their opinion on different products. And then I think it's important to not be afraid to embrace technology and social media, to have fun with it, develop a tone of voice, be authentic, and also get creative. I'll just kind of close today with this other quote. I use social media as an idea generator, a trend mapper, and strategic compass for all of our online business ventures. And this is from Paul Barron. And I like this idea because, again, you're using this as a tool to run your business. It's giving you some great analytics and statistics, some primary information, but as well it can be very fun in laying out kind of the future of your business, and it starts to take on a life of its own, especially with these communities that we're seeing happening. So thank you for joining us today, and just a quick reminder that we take this a step further at the end of the month on May 29th, where now we have our base to social media, but we'll look ahead to creating a full calendar, so creating 365 days of success. So just different strategies on how you can, again, increase traffic and dwell time in your stores. And thanks again for joining me today, and to CanGift for this opportunity to chat with all of you. And feel free to reach out on one of my platforms on Instagram, as well as any other medias that I have up and running. I'm always interested in your comments and questions. So thank you.